All right, I'm glad you were able to go ahead and choose this as one of the courses you wanted to take, and we're covering part 2 of the 1099 form instructions for practitioners. We're going to be covering all the different 1099 forms alphabetically from 1099A through the new 1099 SB, looking at a lot of those instructions and what is to show on all these 1099 forms. So there's a little bit of time we're going to spending together over the next couple of hours. You will get 2 hours for this, but we'll be covering all those different forms. So we'll cover a little bit of a quick overview on 1099s, but then we'll go into those different types of 1099 forms. The most commonly used being the 1099 miscellaneous, but then we'll cover parts of the 1099C and A, the interest, the original issue discount, the Ks. You can see there's quite a list of all those different types of forms. And while we're not going to cover them perfectly alphabetical in the way that we're choosing to cover them in this course, we are going to be covering all of them from A to Z. We're going to talk about the 1096 form as well as the 8809. So that is our agenda. If you want to find out a little bit more about me, there are links that you'll be able to click on, find out more about me. Know that this is a multiple course. You can consider it the full comprehensive guidebook to 1099s. It is a 3-part course, so you are in part 2 of that course, but 1 and 2 are also ones that if you haven't already taken one, I encourage you to go ahead and go back and pick that up. They are standalone courses, but 1 gives you a lot of the rules and requirements and the how-to and where to file, and part 3 also has a lot of additional information. So as we touch on a real quick, an overview, we know that a lot of these 1099s are commonly misunderstood because there is just so many requirements related to information reporting, and there's so many legislative changes happening constantly. It can feel like a daunting task to keep up with them. So here we are going to be covering the different forms as well as instructions, and that equips you to make sure that you are properly filing the information, and if you're in practice, it's also helping to guide your clients to properly file that information so you can avoid potential penalties. Part 1, we did cover a lot of the requirements and deadlines and how and where to file, but here we are covering the actual forms, like I had mentioned there. So we know there are, a lot of different ways that you can gain all your information. I encourage you as well to go ahead, if you would like, to download. I have an actual manual I've created for all 3 parts of this course. You can get that at taxedge365.com/canopy. And a little side note, it's kind of a funny thing is I know these all have capital letters in the link. If you have any trouble, just change everything to small case, and I've had cases where that makes it work. So don't panic. It is there, but you'll have that all new and updated, all for this 2018 version of the course that you're taking right now. So looking at all those types of 1099 forms, there are many different 1099 forms. In fact, this is just a screenshot I grabbed from my manual where we go through and list every different form type, what the name of it is, what you're supposed to put on there, and there are, in some cases, that you have to report a 1099 no matter what the dollar amount is, and some of them have thresholds that you don't have to report until over certain amounts, when you have to report to the IRS and when you have to give it to the recipient. So this I know is very small print in your slides. It's not that I'm intending for you to have to read all the small print. It is covered in the manual, but you'll see that there are many different types of 1099s. So looking down this list, and just right here in this section where it looks like you have one form and lots on it, that's our 1099 miscellaneous form. So each of these different boxes, it's almost like its own separate form in the way that they have so much that deals with what goes on there, and even different due dates depending on what box that you're needing to fill out on the 1099 miscellaneous, as well as some other ones that maybe aren't with the number 1099. They're covered at least just in the listing here. A lot of just information type of reporting is what the whole purpose of these forms are, but a lot of them aren't even under the traditional 1099 number or heading that we may be accustomed to. If we look at what all these different, in a little bit bigger text for you, what all the names of these forms are and what information would be on there, the 1099 miscellaneous kind of is like a catch-all in some sense, that is the most common used form. That's where most of all information reporting seems to end up on. But there are a lot of other ones that follow as well. Now, a lot of them you can see just by the abbreviations, it kind of makes sense that if you know what you're trying to report you can kind of almost correlate that here. So cancellation of debt, that is that it goes 1099-C for cancellation of debt. The acquisition or abandonment of secured property, 1099-A. Interest, INT, 1099 interest. Original issue discount, so that follows logically as well. OID for original issue discount. We have the PATR 1099. You have the 1099K, and this one, it's like I don't see where there's a K in there. I think they just had to fit that in alphabetically. So merchant card or third-party payments, that 1099K, that's the form letter or number. 1099 PATR that I just mentioned, the patronage dividends from co-ops. And then our general dividends, DIV, that one also kind of follows our more logical type of a pattern there. The 1099B, broker or barter exchange transactions. You'll see a lot of these that come probably to your clients now. If you're not a big brokerage house, or you're not dealing with those kind of transactions, you may not have to do a lot of reporting on a 1099B, but you've probably seen these forms before, I'm sure. The 1099 CAP is changes in corporate control and capital structure. So CAP for capital. I mean, that kind of follows a logical pattern. The 1099Gs for government, certain government payments. The 1099H, so this is one of our more relatively new forms. Health coverage, tax credit, advanced payments. The 1099 LTC, so long-term care, LTC, and accelerated death benefits. The 1099R for retirement income, and then I had underneath, just as a side note, and the 5498, that is closely related to it, but that is more information reporting, not on income earned so much, but like values of those investment accounts. So it has a very similar relation. That's why I went ahead and threw it on there. We won't really be doing a whole lot with the non-1099 forms in this course. There is the 1099S, so sale of real estate or certain real estate transactions. The 1099SA, I think they got that from just savings account, so health savings account or medical savings account. So the SA part seems to go in correlation with the form number. The 1099Q for qualified education program payments. This one I can't see maybe where the 1099QA came from. It may be qualified ABLE as maybe the logic, payments from ABLE accounts. 1099LS, this is a new one for 2018, reportable life insurance sales. We'll just touch on that a little bit. A lot of these are more obscure ones. It may not be that you have an occasion for a client to necessarily create one of these forms, but you may see one if you're in practice and doing preparation. So this just kind of puts all these forms on your radar. At least you know kind of what they're about and what to expect with them. The 1099 SB is another new one for 2018. That is the seller's investment in life insurance contract. And then the one that you will see for every single type of form, no matter what, is the 1096. It's kind of like your cover page. It's a summary and your transmittal forms. So no matter what kind of 1099 you ever send for a business, it has to go with a 1096. So that's one you're going to see in every occasion. And you may have an opportunity or need to use the 8809. So that's our extension request form. That's a whole lot of different ones that we'll be covering. I know we're just kind of touching on the names, but we're going to dive into each one of these as we go here.